Sean, if you can, let's start off by talking about how you got your start in the oil and gas industry.
Sure thing. So my mother has been in the oil and gas industry for 35 of her 40 years career, primarily in oil and gas accounting in both the public and private sector. My father, albeit a petroleum land management degree, took a different path and chose to work for United Parcel Service, where he will retire after 35 years. So I had a general familiarity with the business growing up in McLean County, just along the Anadarko Basin edge. You can't go too far without seeing a pump jack in the distance. But I won't say I truly understood what oil and gas was in its full cycle until I got close to graduating college. I had been a student athlete the first 20-something years of my life. And so as I was approaching graduation at Oklahoma Baptist University, it was kind of amidst the shale revolution in 2010, and I was familiar with the anchor names in Oklahoma City, and had established a few relationships with some landmen as well as other folks that worked at Chesapeake Energy, and just their kind of description of the work hard, play hard nature, and my I guess want to be a part of an industry that was both impactful to the state economy and global economy, as well as being something that had a high ceiling. The oil and gas industry was hiring young, vibrant workforce at the time, and I was fortunate to have a hometown relationship with a family that gave me a chance to get my foot in the door and kind of prove myself worthy.
That's pretty neat to hear. So once you did that, can you talk a little bit about the path that you took professional-wise, and maybe any advice you have for younger professionals trying to find their place in the industry as well?
Sure thing. So I started out in Chesapeake's land title department. As a landman, I think that's kind of where a lot of us get our start. It's a good foundation. I didn't know a ton about land work when I first got into it, but I think just the willingness to learn and to work hard and to be a sponge when you're young. Mm-hmm. I progressed through the landman ranks, and in 2013, Chesapeake had a shift in leadership and regime, and I was fortunate to be a part of about 20 of 250 that got to kind of survive and advance on, whereas our entire department dissolved at that time. In 2013, I transitioned into what's more of your traditional E&P landman role and worked my way up through the ranks, working the Powder River Basin for the most part. I was fortunate to be a part of a small asset team. I think it was our smallest team within Chesapeake at the time. And that really gave me the ability to dive in head first. There wasn't a lot of hand-holding. You kind of were given your responsibility, and you kind of had to learn by doing. I had some good mentors and managers along the way that kind of let me fly under their wing as I gained a better grasp of the business as a whole versus just land in general. It was probably 2015 I was given the opportunity to take on additional roles outside of just my landman description. I got a chance to lead our asset team, and that's where I think I kind of hit full stride in gaining an understanding of the business as a whole, and not just land, not just engineering, geology, et cetera, but how to put it all together and think a little bit more strategically and how to execute an actual development strategy from a holistic standpoint. I had spent 7 years at Chesapeake, and I was approached with a couple opportunities to enter into the private equity sector. One of the opportunities was going to require my family to move, and one required me to get to stay at home and actually go across the street with some folks that I was familiar with. So in 2017, I took a little bit of a risk and stepped outside of the comfort zone to join the folks that were starting up at Native, and that's where I'm at today. So it's been a fun ride getting to see something built from the ground up and be a part of a really strong team and very energetic individuals that are willing to work hard and put the effort in.
And really, I think you kind of answered my next question about a challenge that you faced. Sounds like you did take a risk, or there was a challenge there for you in kind of stepping out to do that.
Yes, I'd say that's probably my biggest challenge that I've kind of taken to date. I think once you get your feet wet somewhere and you get comfortable, it's very easy to kind of stay there and get complacent. So in 17, when I took the jump and decided to take the role at Native, my wife and I were also actually pregnant with our firstborn. So I think I I had my first child in October and started at Native at the beginning of November.
Wow.
So you kind of jump right in. It's a lot of hours, not a lot of sleep, but I think it's worth it. And putting the work in, I think, especially when you have the energy to do so, it kind of pays itself in full dividends at a later date.
And that transitions into my next question about work-life balance. Do you have any advice for that?
I think it's tough.
Yeah.
I try to never turn down any opportunity to take on additional roles. Would encourage others to do the same. I think it does nothing but expand not only your knowledge base, but your network, and just kind of puts you on an accelerated growth to success. But I think as long as you kind of put your priorities in place when you start this, it's not easy, it's tough. You have to prioritize and manage your time. And I want my family to know that I work hard for what we have, but also that they're the most important thing to me. So I think whenever you're doing something and you're doing it for your team or for your family, it makes it that much more rewarding whenever you're spending the extra hours. I try to shut it down at a certain time every day and go home and spend a few hours with the family. And if it requires that I go back to work, whether it be at the home office or the actual office, then I can do so when they go to sleep. So I think understanding that it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, but if you're willing to put it in, I think it's worth it in the end.
Very good words, good advice there, and good words. Thank you for sharing your story with us. We appreciate it, and congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Thank you, Jessica. Happy to be here.
You're very welcome.